everyone, what's going on? Misan here, and well, before I go into today's topic, I just wanted to say something. I actually was trying a new audio effect for a few of my videos, and apparently did not go well with some of you guys and gals, so I will stop that, okay? Okay, let's go on to today's topic. So, continuing the Neon Genesis Evangelion series, this is going to be about Evangelion's relationship to Sigmund Freud's psychology, and that's probably the strongest relationship to any one ideology would be Sigmund Freud's and what he has to say. So it's interesting because Evangelion's biggest things are. I didn't even mention this at all. I didn't mention the religious references that the show made, but there's a lot of religious references, psychological references, and you got Schopenhauer and his philosophy that entangled in this whole entire series. And the biggest, most obvious one would probably be Shinji and his Oedipus complex with Misato and her Electra complex, which is why those characters kind of go so very well together. Now, the backstory of Shinji is, of course, as everyone knows by now, he was I guess you can kind of say orphan in a sense. His mom was dead before he could really even remember seeing her. He doesn't really remember seeing her face. And Gendo basically denied Shinji and abandoned him, and he's just been living with a teacher all his life, living with other people all his life. And now back, around his father anyway. His father obviously wants him to go back into that robot, or go into the robot, I should say. And he wants none of that. And where does the Oedipus complex come into that? Now you got Ray, who comes into this series a little later, and Ray, unbeknownst to Shinji, he doesn't remember his mom. Ray looks a lot like his mom. Spoilers, obviously. And I remember that first scene where they're in the bedroom together, and they're just staring at each other after she falls down, after he's messing around with Gendo's glasses, and they stare into each other's eyes. You can tell there is this instant connection, like, oh, I've seen you before. And then later on it's revealed, obviously, that Gendo had created Ray using part of Lilith's DNA. So that's where the Oedipus complex comes in, and even to Misato, to a certain extent, and Misato has the Electra complex, being that she and Kaji were together, and she found out the biggest reason why she liked Kaji because he reminded her of her father, and she had mixed feelings about her father. Her father was an interesting man. Her father really took care of her family, but just wasn't really there for her family, and she kind of hated him for that. But at the same time, her father did sacrifice his life for her, and that left her confused and kind of left her in a not comatose state, but she was just mute for a minute. And she started coming out after that when she met, I can't remember her name right now, but you guys know how it is. So that's always the biggest. And there's a few episodes where you got Freud's presence in there. Like you got an ambivalence, ambivalence, which is a psychoanalysis term, coined by Paul Egan Bleuer in 1991. It's a state of having simultaneous conflicting feelings towards a person or a thing. More specifically, for psychoanalysis, it refers to an underlying emotional attitude in which the coexisting contradictory impulses derive from a common source and are thus held to be interdependent. It would not usually be expected that, the person embodying ambivalence would actually feel both of the two contradictory emotions as such. So ambivalence is a big part of the show. You see that there. Asuka probably displays it the most with Shinji. She loves and hates him. She loves him because she sees herself in him. That's honestly, she loves him and hates him for the same reason, because she sees herself in him. So she sees the good stuff that he presents, but she also sees him as better than her, and she doesn't want anyone to be better than her. So she hates him for that, because she wants to be number one, and he does it so effortlessly. He doesn't even care, while she's been fighting all her life, and she's very talented, clearly, but she'll never get to Shinji. Destructo is obviously in there. Libido destructo is in there, and that's a term that's coined by the Italian psychoanalyst Eduardo Weiss in 1935. So basically, it describes a psychic energy that arises from the death drive. It's basically the mechanism that it is involved in the destruction of a living being, essentially returning that living being back to nothing in extreme cases. So you see that really, I guess, towards the end of the series, when you go Shinji's head, and this depression's in there, and this is where Shobara comes in. I'll go into this in another episode, but Hedgehog's dilemma is obviously a part of this as well. But I want to really go into Freud here, and you got the id, the superego, and the ego. And this is a theory that's been tossed around quite a bit and holds some superficial merit. And this theory postulates that the three main plots of Evangelion represent the three regions of Freud's mind. So you got Asuka's id. In this theory, Asuka would represent the id. So the aspect of the Freudian mind that is the storehouse of unconscious desires, such as hunger and lust. Her actions in part of the series often represent this aspect of the mind, and most often in a sexual sense. But for Asuka, it is too deep of a character. Well, she is too deep of a character to just simply dismiss as a lustful person. And I'm going to have an episode totally devoted to Asuka, my favorite character in the series. She's a very complex, deep character. And, yeah, just wait for that. But in this respect, her influence are what, brings Shinji, who's the ego, to a point in which he must determine the course of his sexual development. So in a sense, this aspect checks out. So Rei is the superego. So in this theory, Rei would represent the superego, the part of the mind in which societal post-opedial expectations, I might have said that wrong, but input of the functions of the ego. Rei's apparent coldness and devotion to Shinji's father, Gendo, which goes with the Oedipus complex pretty well, or, Oedipus, also seems to provide evidence to what I'm saying. And her correlation with Asuka, and superego being diametrically opposed, also, furthers this theory. And Shinji is the ego. Shinji represents the ego, as I said, the mediator between this id and the superego, which processes the demands of both and makes informed decisions. So this is where comparisons begin to get a little shaky, I guess. Though Shinji processes the influences of both Asuka and Rei, he's often too weak to make any informed decision at all. This may be evidence of a weakened ego, but, whatever. Yeah. And, I mean, you can make different combinations. You could use, like, Toji, Hiraki, and Kenzo, but, who cares? Not who cares, but they're just not as big of a deal. So, the super-id, the super-ego and ego work like this. So, the id is, I'm going to make sure I get this right. The ids are basically unconscious desires, as I stated. It's our, like, what I like to call inauthentic ones, like sex, drugs, alcohol, pleasure, eating junk food, all that stuff. It's like a horse going off. The ego is the person that's in control of the horse, like the main rider. And he's trying to steer in the right direction. While the superego is that backseat driver. It's like, hey man, come on, let me take you this route. Let's go this way. Let's go this way. And Evangelion really shows in a very, very great way, which is one reason why I love the show, how we're in a constant battle fighting our lower, more unconscious desires and really trying to go up to our higher self. And I think that theory I just said really shows the show and the characters in a simplistic way what they're all about. You got Asuka, who's a superego. And the superego is very critical. Asuka is super critical of herself. You got the id, which is super unconscious, and Rei is not even human. And you got the ego, who's trying to go in the right direction, trying to figure out where to go, and that fits Shinji rather well. So, thank you for listening to this video. Look forward to the next video. That'll be more about Jung's place in Evangelion. If you like this, just like, comment, subscribe, if not, whatever. And